Good afternoon, hon buns. This is your girl, Miss Books to you, coming to you today with a book review for Life. And Life is not actually a per se book with like fictional characters. It is an actual book about Mr. Scott's life. And the title, once again, is Life. And the author is Mr. Scott. I'm going to call him Mr. K. Scott because, Mr. Scott, I do not want to butcher your first name. The correct spelling of his name is Keishorne. His last name is Scott, Scott. And the publication date was 2012. The number of pages, 106. The price is free 99 in my Miss PTV voice, which is I love free 99. And information about the author, reputation, qualifications. I actually discovered him on Instagram from Coach. What is her name? I can't remember her name, but she is someone that I look to as well. I think it's Coach Sheena. I can't remember. It's a lot of women that are on Instagram that provide assistance with guidance and just uplifting people, not just females, but all people. So she referred me to his page, and I've loved his page and his advice since. My points. What was the story about? It was about Mr. Scott's life and his life experiences and what he's actually grown to learn. Who was the main character? It was himself. What did the main characters do in the story? He grew as an individual. He understood where his place was with himself in relationship, being friendship or a relationship with his partner. Also his family and his friends. And I will touch on the family and friends section a little bit later on in the review. What did the main, I'm sorry, I did that already. Did the main characters run into any problems? Identifying who he was. He was struggling as everyone does, and if anyone says anything different, they are lying. You always struggle, not always, but you always have that point in your life where you struggle and you're trying to figure out who you are, where you belong in this world. You know God put you here, or you know that you were placed here for a reason, and you're just trying to find your way. And this book was basically his journal and his diary. Adventures. What adventures did he have? I would say the discovery of himself and the relationships with helping his relationships with people in general, be it family, friends, himself, or the person that he chose to be with. Who was your favorite character? Truthfully, the only character. Well, no, he wasn't the only character. I hate to call him a character. He's not an actual character as a person. But my favorite person in the book, and I do apologize, Mr. Scott, but it was the girlfriend that left. Like, go her. I know it's bad saying go her, but it's a lot of women who, you get in a relationship with the person and things start going downhill. Even if she may have prematurely jumped out of the situation, which I have done myself. If she Even if she did prematurely jump out at that time, you weren't ready, and you didn't. And sometimes we don't see what we are doing wrong in a relationship, but we do, pull back and change, or let's say change, not pull back, but we change. So she left. She did. She left. I'm sorry, Mr. Scott, but she was my favorite character for having the strength to leave and basically doing what you told us in the book, and that's knowing your worth. And not saying that you weren't, but she knew what she wanted, and that's the key in life. We have to know what we want and go after it. I'm sorry. Why was the author, Mr. Scott, my favorite character? I hate to call him a character. Why was he my favorite part of the book? I would like to say, and I want to thank you, Mr. Scott, because I appreciate your level of openness, honesty. It was refreshing. I'm not actually sure of your age or his age, but from the cover, it appears that he is young. So in a society that teaches young men to be hard and not be vulnerable, it was refreshing to see on paper where this man actually said that he cried. Times that he felt down, he cried. And I think a lot of men may want to read this book because it is okay to cry, and everybody cries. It's not a female trait, as people would like to say, but everybody cries. Even if someone doesn't see you, you still do it. But I did love his openness and his honesty, and how he became one with himself and those that were basically around him. So the next section is my personal experiences. Could you relate to any of the characters in the story? Well, I hate to keep saying story, but it's in the book. But could I relate to anything? I said I felt as though the pride and forgiveness section that you had, it was written specifically for me. When I say it was for me, the pride is something that I've struggled with all my life. And there's a lady on YouTube, and when I tell you, I'm sorry, not YouTube, Instagram, can't remember her name, but she summed it up so well. And I said, that is me. She said that I have not come to a point in my life where I can understand the difference between asking and begging. And I think that's something that my parents instilled in me. Let's just say it's a person that you're with, if I ask for something and you don't give it to me, I will give you a time frame on, getting it for me. But in essence, if I don't get it in a specific amount of time, I'm going to do what I need to do in order to get what I want. So I do have an issue with pride, and Lord knows I have an issue with forgiveness. So those sections were written. I feel like you specifically wrote them for me, Mr. Scott, and I appreciate you for that, because everything you said, I listened, even though you weren't speaking, but I listened. I heard your words off the page because I actually said them out loud. And I did highlight them, and some of them I actually have put into calligraphy and placed some in my office at work. And I will place some around my home as well. So reading this book was like praying to God for guidance on Saturday, going to church on Sunday, and the preacher's sermon is everything that you asked God about that day before. That is what this book was for me. And I know those are strong words, but they are so true. Have you ever done or felt some of the things that were done in the book? Yes, in the book, Mr. Scott touches on friendship and forgiveness. Like I will tell anyone, forgiveness is a constant thing that I struggle with. As you get older, you evaluate your friendships. And I like for my friends to be able to reciprocate the things that I do for them, the love that I show them. I expect that back. And when I don't get it, it does hurt. But also, you begin to say, well, does this person, and even though a person loves you, they will one day hurt you, be it from your mother to your child. It's going to happen. We all hurt people, rather intentionally or unintentionally. But that's just something that I find myself dealing with, forgiveness and friendships as well. And when their actions don't reflect, the frustration sets in for me. However, I most recently spoke with one of my best friends and informed him that people treat us how we allow them to treat us. And yes, we hear this all the time, and people say it's been said since we were young, probably. It's been instilled in us. I know my parents taught me that at an early age. A man will treat you how you present yourself. When you go places, how you carry yourself is how you will be treated. But like those words have actually set in and manifested in me within the last 5 years. Well, the past 5 years. It's actually been like a cornerstone in my life, and I take that to heart. And some people I have distanced myself from, and I do believe in life. Sometimes you may outgrow a person, but that doesn't mean that you love that person any less. You just sometimes you do outgrow people, whether it be a friend, a husband, boyfriend, family members. You can outgrow them. And this is a quote from the book that I absolutely love and I appreciate it, Mr. Scott. It is: fake friends will use you, drain your energy, rarely reciprocate a good deed or favor, try to keep you down on their level, find it difficult to praise you for your true qualities, or even try to convince you to change so that they can feel better about themselves. And I do recall having a conversation with someone, and that person told me, Carla, I don't know what to do for you as a friend because you know how to do everything. And having that conversation, her words took me aback, for one. For two, you have to truly know me to know that the bare minimum, like, I don't require a lot. Everybody's been calling me recently saying, Carla, what can we buy you for Christmas? And the only thing that I ever want for Christmas, and do not laugh. Well, you can laugh. Judge me. You can judge me right now. But the only thing that I ever ask for is the Christmas bears, which are the male and the female, that have Merry Christmas and whatever the year is. And that's something that actually my father purchases for me and has been since 1981. Yes, I did just tell my age. But he has purchased them every year. Every year. He has not missed. So I know I'm going to get those. But anything else, I'm not that person that you have to just go out and splurge on. That's just not me. But Mr. Scott, that alone, that phrase, it spoke volumes to me, especially about evaluating the friends or the people that I have around me. My opinion: do you like the book? I absolutely love the book. What was your favorite part of the book? The entire book was my favorite part, truthfully. Did you have a least favorite part of the book? That didn't apply because, like I stated, the entire book. If you could change something, what would it have been? If I could change something about the book, I would have read the book in 2012. So I wouldn't have gone through the things from 2012 to 2013 that I have. But since that didn't happen, I feel that God placed the book in my life at the time when He saw fit. So everything happened when it was supposed to happen. So in essence, no, it's nothing that I would change about the book. So my recommendations: would you recommend this book to another person? Not only have I actually recommended the book to someone, but I did email the booklet to some of my coworkers and a few friends. Actually, my best friend, he is a man, and I did email it to him because he's at a point in his life right now where he is struggling with, how he's trying to maneuver through life, and he knows what he wants. He's just having a problem getting to it. So I really felt like this book helped him, and I will give you an update on what he felt about the book as well. And although Mr. Scott is young, because I know a lot of people feel like certain people can't give them advice, and I think that's untrue. I feel like he is a actual younger version of Steve Harvey. And just as Steve Harvey books, we may not want to hear it, but we need to hear it in order to progress and do better in life. So a lot of things in life we don't want to hear, but we need to hear it. And everything he said in this book, some of it took me a little bit longer because I normally review a book in a week. But this book, it took 2 weeks because just like Iyanla Vanzant books, when it touches something deep inside of you, you have to put that book down and say, at first you are upset, but you can't be upset because the truth is the truth. And a lot of things that he said in the book, it was the truth. And it's something, once you find out, the first step is to acknowledge it. And then at that point, you need to do what you need to do in order to change it. Next question. What type of person would like this book? I'm un- I'm unsure of what type of person should read this book, but I know all people should read this book. The gender, the race, the religion, it shouldn't stop a person from reading this book. There is literally something in here for everyone, from a preteen to a person over 90. You're never too old to learn something new. And that's told to us in the introduction, actually, by Mr. Chris Broussard, if I'm pronouncing that right. He said that Scott speaks with the wisdom of an elder, but in the language of a young person, and that is something that we need today. We need a young man to speak to another young man. Even though Steve Harvey, he's an older man, he's had more life experiences. I feel that a lot of younger men may look to Mr. Scott and say, well, hey, he's around my age. Even though he hasn't been through a lot, he has been through some of the things that I have. So this is the end of my review. However, I do have my pearls of wisdom that I always insert. And the first one is going to be, always do what you want and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. And that is a quote that he took from none other than the great Dr. Seuss. Also, just because someone else got somewhere before you doesn't mean that you're too late. And that's something that we are guilty of in our current society, where we say, well, this person is 21 and she has acquired this. You can't go by that, because you don't know what that person's struggles were. Everybody's struggle is not going to be the same. Second, you have to distance yourself from certain people, not because you don't love them, but because you have to move forward with your life. And the entire book was focused on moving forward. Next, choose your entourage wisely and only hang around the type of people and participate in activities that you are comfortable with. Carla does not have a problem with saying no, and you can ask her friends that and family. So the next one is, we have to understand that things aren't always going to be what we want them to be. Life will treat you unfairly, will put shadows over your happiest days. But it is up to you to move on. It's up to you to say, I am not going to let bad days ruin my good life. I love my life. I'm not perfect and I make mistakes. And the best thing about making mistakes in life is that learning from those mistakes is what makes life worth living. And that's another thing that I live by as well. That's something that I changed. You may have had a bad day, but don't turn it into like a bad life. You don't have a bad life. So everything in your life, appreciate and be proud and happy. Next, sometimes you got to make a wrong decision to see who's there to help you fix it. And sometimes you got to let go of the one you love just to see if they love you enough to come back. If I comment on that, that would be another 30 minutes added onto the video. So we're not going to go there. Next, God looks for steady growth, not instant perfection. When I tell you, that is the quote that is currently in my office, and I love it. God looks for steady growth, not instant perfection. Baby steps in life, period. Just baby steps. Next, life may not always be as good as it should be, but it's never as bad as it could be. At the end of the day, you either focus on what's tearing you apart or on what's holding you together. And to tell you the truth, everyone has problems. Everybody has problems. If you don't have problems, you don't exist. Just listen to me. Life is not always easy, but when you have God, everything is okay. He testified when he wrote that. He testified. Yes, Mr. Scott, you testified when you wrote that. I love that one. The next one, last but not least, you are in that phase of your life where you know what you want, but not necessarily how to get it. And in that instance, I encourage you to pray. get with someone who has or is where you want to be, and you just never know what that person is able to do for you, and we all need each other. And I did have that problem with asking for help, like I stated earlier. So, get with someone who is doing what you want to do or is in the field that you want to be in. Most people, they love to be mentors. The lady who I'm sorry, my director, she was my mentor and she didn't even know it. When I left a card. Well, I'm sorry, I gave her a card. And she said, Carla, I didn't even know I was your mentor. So you never know who's watching you, who's, looking at your actions. And she is the reflection of a strong woman, not black woman, but just a woman. And she was over about, I think it was about 50 or 60 of us. So that's something big. But at the end of the day, the book is about just living life and live your life to the fullest. Don't allow anyone to stop you, hold you back. You are the only person that actually holds you back. So once again, this is the actual end of the review. Once again, Mr. Scott, I would like to thank you for this book. This book was an eye opener for me. And my eyes are small. So it was an eye opener for me. But I would again, like to thank you for watching. Please make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, refer a friend. I hope you all have a happy holidays. I don't know if I should be back before, no, not before Christmas, but before New Year's. I will record another video and I will post a picture on my Instagram. Once again, my Instagram, Twitter, and my email address are all Miss Books to You. If you are an author, make sure you send me an email if you are interested in me reviewing your book, and just let me know how to go about getting the book and I will purchase it. Or if you want to gift me a book, I accept free 99 as well. Once again, thank you, Mr. Scott, and you all have a great night. I love you. Mwah.